I want to talk about
Sam Raimi, director.
And you're going to do it like I tell you to do it, or you get off the set.
Also, you mess this up again and you're off the set.
Sam, I won't be spoken to in that manner.
You talking back to me? It's never easy to do the right thing, so that's why I like the Spider-Man movie that we're making now, because it's about choices, and it shows, not like a message movie, but it shows how we can all make these choices. How will he weigh his personal needs against his sense of responsibility?
Sam Raimi and what he was able to do with this. Sam Raimi's done a lot of fucking movies, like Drag Me to Hell, The Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, the Spider-Man movies. So much great shit. And like, he does certain movies like The Evil Dead. I remember them involving a book. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not like the Darkhold, but it's, you know, it's sinister in nature. And I think it's super dope that they kind of tie some of the things that he likes to incorporate in his movies, and they made this Doctor Strange movie in that same same kind of frame. And like, it's perfectly teed up for him. It's not overindulgent on the campy. It's more, there's more emphasis in the horror.
Yeah, and you get that, you know, like when Dr. X goes into her mind and you see that creepy, scary Wanda, I was like, oh shit, or where the, what is it, the soul suckers, the souls of the damned or something like that, and they come at Rachel McAdams, and they come for him, and then she's like, use them, and he uses them to make a wingsuit, basically. So,
yeah, to fly.
Yeah, I was just like, well, okay. Not Sorcerer Supreme Strange. The show was just like too much for me.
It's crazy. Like, I think the style wasn't from start to finish. You know, there was definitely some moments where it felt like previs, and like, you know, those sequences were kind of done before they hired a director, and they were like, hey, this is gonna be in the movie whether you like it or not.
Well, that's how Marvel rolls, you know.
That's the thing, though. You have to be honest and fair about this shit. You know, Raimi, he does the Dutch angles. You know, when they start to go down in the basement of you know, and he loses the sling. You see the camera kind of zoom in a little bit, and then it's already off. It's Dutch, so like. When it's Dutch, it's just trying to tell you, hey, something's off. It's just the visual representation. Something's off. The camera's not aligned. Something's fucking wrong. Something's off.
Like when Wanda falls on the floor when they stab the Darkhold, and she's like going in between the universes.
That shit's dope.
And
that shit's
it like
dope.
goes
Cutting
from the
back
floor.
and forth.
Yeah, it goes from the floor, and then it like sits up with her, but it's going back and forth, like she's touching their face. It's just not centered right. It's not all the way up. It's just kind of still crooked, like something's wrong. And I was like, damn, this is some masterpiece work right here, you know?
Yeah, and that's not the end of it, because again, some of the styles, it's not saturated with it, but it's enough to stand out from the other MCU entries. And you have the spinning out of a dream, like in the intro.
Yeah.
When they literally get sucked into the portal. You have the camera and it's spinning out of control, and that spinning out of control kind of seeps into Strange's waking life.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And his shit starts to go south in turn as well. There's
the scene I brought up with Christine earlier, when the soul of the dam is like trying to get her, and she's like fighting him off, and then you just see her face like screaming, and the camera moving back and forth.
Right. The POV shots like you're talking about.
Yeah.
That POV shot of like whatever the line fucking like.
The soul of the dam.
So yeah, the soul of the dam. I forgot about but there's also the POV shots of Gargantos.
Oh yeah.
He kind of like looks over at the city, and there's like that slight filter, like that color filter, as he's looking at the intersection, right?
Yeah.
The other POV shot is the Ultron bot as it's trying to stop Wanda, and it looks like Wanda snaps its neck. So when it snaps its neck, the camera also moves in that direction.
Yeah.
So
that shit was cool.
Right, there's little things like that where it's like it's just a shot, one shot in a series, you know, of sequences and shots. You have a lot of fun shit too with, let's say, the dueling eye shots that are between Professor X and Wanda.
Oh yeah.
Professor X, he's got one hand on his head and the other hand like with the index pointing out at Wanda, and Wanda, like, you know, then the camera goes to Wanda, and then it starts to enter her eye, and that's how you go to that like little white room with the door, and we were talking about earlier, right? But the whole transition and the style of everything is so dope, because they're clearly like, that shot isn't for nothing. It's not just style over substance. Like,
no.
There's a reason why that shot's going into the eye.
Yeah.
It's going within. It's going within the character, within the mind. Guess where, you know? And guess where the fight kind of happens in their minds, and it's like interesting way to transition into like a fight that's not in the physical realm.
Yeah, I liked when they used her eyes and like she's doing the spell and she's like sitting up in the air and like it transitions from like her eyes to like, you know, her doing like a thing there, and you see like all the multiverses around her and like the red chaos magic. Like I feel like that was pretty cool too.
No, that shit was cool, and that scene where Strange is talking to Mordo. And like they're sipping coffee and he's talking about, no, the greatest threat in this shit is you, I think. And there's a couple of crossfades. Like the first crossfade I think in the movie is when Strange realizes Scarlet Witch and she issued a warning. And then it's like Wong comes up fades to Wong, and Wong's like, the Scarlet Witch. And you know, there's certain shit like that. It's fun. They do other kinds of transitions too, but the crossfade is super fun. In the middle of the fucking movie when you have them talking and it's Mordo and the candles go out again, right?
Yeah.
And it's Chavez on one side, it's Strange on the other side, it's Wanda in the middle, like literally at the heart of these two characters, and it's pulling them closer to like where she's located. It's just a fun series of events that also ties in all the main characters and players moving forward. Yeah, like they're in the Illuminati world that, you know, it's obviously we don't know that yet, but you know, when you watch it again, you understand when they get to that different fucking New York or whatever. That's the Illuminati, the 838, I think we called it. It has a lot of fun with the crossfades, and it's like it's not, you know, overindulgent, or it's not overusing them. It's pretty sweet, and you have like the music that plays a huge role. Danny Elfman back in the bitch with this boy Raimi, and
it was so good.
Like and it's just the one of many like this like hypnotic drum beat, and then leads into, you know, WandaVision, Dreamwalking, and everything that's chaotic within her. It's just fucking great shit. And we talked about the music scenes, how like, you know, the emphasis of music and the appreciation of it as well. It stands out between a catalog of so many fucking movies and shows. Like the thing runs fucking deep, and this thing still manages to stand out despite being so many entries down the road. I think that's what's also impressive, is like it's not the same cookie cutter bullshit you've been watching. There's some funky shit, like Strange tells Wanda like, hey, you made it right by those people. No, like that's the other thing too. Like I want someone to have a fucking backbone and be like, hey Wanda, you kind of fucked up back there, and I want to give you an opportunity to fucking make things right. Come and help me find this fucking this son
demon,
of a bitch who's putting runes over monsters and chasing America Chavez down. Like I want to see someone kind of butt heads with her and
put her in her place.
And
basically.
it's shit's way too soft. Like the moniker on Bo, like, you know, people don't know what you've been through, kind of shit. And it's like, oh, what the fuck, dude? And she puts her little hoodie on, and then she fucks off, and then, you know what I mean? And then Strange is like, hey, you did everything you can. You made things right. And it's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, we knew you'd always make things right in the end. I think that's what his line.
Yeah, whatever bullshit he's spewing, it's just I ain't with it. I ain't with that shit. But
nobody was.
The camera movement, like again, it's not just style. There's a lot of substance behind it, and Raimi is a master of his craft. He incorporates a lot of things. He's not just.
He's not honed on one skill set, basically.
Right, and I think one of my favorite fucking sequences in the whole movie is Wanda dreamwalking, and it's immediately after that. I think when like they're like, you know, she's the biggest threat, and like there's that hypnotic fucking drum, right? Drums, and it's the fades, and like I said, like it's building to that, and as soon as that finishes, it shows her going over, and like she enters the world they're in, and the camera's like behind the fucking staircase, you know?
Oh my god, it's so creepy.
Right,
yeah.
And the camera pokes out over the staircase, and it wants to enter the living room, but then it doesn't, and then it pulls back behind the staircase. Not only is that shot like fun,
it makes it scary.
It makes it scary, but like think of the clarity on the frame too. Like there's this idea where you want to have everything that's in frame in focus. So the background, the foreground, the characters, whatever the fucking character's holding even. So having the thing in clarity, having everything in focus, it's a clean shot. That's what people strive for. People like the wide shots where everybody is obviously and easily seen. So what is interesting with this specific sequence is when he takes the camera and he's playing around behind the staircase, and it seems like he rubbed Vaseline on the outer ring of the lens, so everything that's outside of the center of the frame is obscured. It's a little blurred. And I think what a beautiful way to introduce, I guess, the focus, the true focus of the evil Wanda going in, and it's, you know, it's the family, it's the kids, it's that Wanda, so she can move around in that universe. Completely blown away by experimental choices such as that sequence that don't usually find their way into a Marvel movie. Sometimes a lot of the Marvel movies are loaded with pre-visuals.
The first visualizations of a Marvel film will often begin before the script's fully finished.
That's what kind of sucks about, let's say, movies like Black Panther, where it's a nice, fun movie up until where they go and they're fighting in the carts underneath the fucking world or whatever. It's lame. It's not as fun. So I truly enjoy this specific style and this attempt and this whole look. Again, like, everybody wants a clean shot. Everybody wants everything in focus. So to fuck around and to have things out of focus, it's style, but it's backed by substance. And I can't help but tip my cap to everybody that worked on this fucking set, everybody that worked on this movie. And it's truly an outstanding piece of cinematic work, but there are problems within the story and its characters. Again, it's not standing on the shoulders of giants, but they're trying to introduce something new and fresh and bold. And, you know, I'll take that wild swing at the plate as opposed to a crummy ass walk where they're gonna just load, you know, get on base and it's just chugging through the order. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's certain things that you could
do to the camera.
You could manipulate with the camera to have a fun, artistic, you know, expression. And
I was wondering what you meant by that earlier, because I was looking at it and I was like, I don't understand what that means, but that's pretty cool.
It's so fun. It's so fun to have shit like that, because again, like, think of the other shots. The other shots have what? Her in frame, right? Sometimes, hey, and like, I just remember this shot where it's Wanda, I think they're in the sewers and she's out of frame, so she looks like a blur, and she walks into frame and she becomes, you know, she's formed, right? Yeah. It's almost like she's here, you know, she's here right in front of you. And there's just a lot of these shots scattered throughout the whole fucking movie. And, like, that whole sequence, I didn't even get to it, where, like, that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. And then Wanda starts to walk back to the kitchen where the cereal bowls fucking get thrown up against the wall. She walks past the picture.
Like if she was blown by some air, like a gust of wind.
Yeah, and that picture's like, this picture breaks the fucking thing and looks at her.
Yeah, that shit was super trippy.
You know, the lights are going fucking, they're
haywire,
going on and off. Yeah, the cup has the ocean going back and forth. Like, it's, after she goes through all that, she looks up and she sees the reflection of the Scarlet Witch, and then she kind of like
fights with her, and then obviously the Scarlet Witch wins. It's crazy. Yeah,
that sequence alone is probably one of my favorites in the MCU in general. Like, more than the fan service where, like, Captain America picks up a hammer, because there's so much creative shit going on behind that whole fucking thing, and that moment's so impactful as well. It's not just like some random ass shit that they're gonna, like, she truly dream walked right in that specific moment, and like it shows you, like, the actual consequence of what what happens to that character with that Scarlet Witch's like aggressiveness, right, about everything. Strange does it, and that shit doesn't happen.
One of the things that we learned from our repeated visits to the horror picture were certain laws that happen to apply to all horror pictures, and that is the innocent must suffer. The poor sap who walks into the house has to be tormented. And then the next law came into, we came to realize there was a second law governing all horror pictures, and that was the guilty must be punished. Whatever evil thing there is out there, whatever dark force there is, the audience wants to see the hero lay into it pretty intensely. And then we found there was a third law, and that is that you must taste blood to be a man. You've got to go through this, in these horror films, this coming of age through this blood experience. Now, Joel and Ethan Coen have mentioned that a fourth law exists, that the dead must walk, but we're still testing that law in our research labs to see if it holds true in all cases.
It's fucking insane, and again, like, it's just one of the movies that stand out completely. Like, the people think the Taika Waititi is like a good Thor movie. Like, it is. It's fun, and it brings a lot of color and life into the franchise. But in terms of movies, like, just like from start to finish, recipes and like the things you can do, the things you try to do creatively, like as much as we want Superior Iron Man, he did things like that with the camera that made me forget, all right, like, fuck it. Maybe it's not that big a deal. Maybe you guys will do something with Superior Iron Man in the future. Like,
yeah, maybe.
Like I said, it's just a dude that truly has a sense of style with the camera. No one else has that. No one else has that in the MCU. I guarantee you, Whedon doesn't have that. He has a writing style. Yeah. Shane Black doesn't have that. He has a writing style.
Yeah.
John Favreau doesn't have that.
It's a writing
style. He doesn't even have a writing. He has improv. You know what I mean? You don't want to fucking, you know.
Don't feel like it today.
You know what I mean? Yeah. James Gunn doesn't have that. He has a writing style. The Russos don't even have that. And the Russos,
they're amazing.
I don't think the Russos have an overwhelming style that you can pinpoint and go, wow, like that's like Tarantino, that's like Scorsese, that's like Raimi, and that's the fucking difference. You have people that are fucking trendsetters. That aren't people who trying to. Tarantino rips a lot of shots. Yeah. Right. People like Raimi, like he'll do his own shots, and then he'll do shots that kind of look like Wanda's coming out of the gong, like she's fucking, like she's the ring.
That was so scary. You know? I was like, what the hell is going on
and that's what's so cool about this shit too, like the idea of mirrors as portals, and when she's trapped there, she kind of travels all across the kind of environment that they have through reflections of waters, through kind of like mirrors, you know? Yeah. And I love that because like if you look into the occult, there's a lot of shit about mirrors. How can it invite entities and like, you know, I even think about that Nirvana song, Broke All Mirrors. Broke All Mirrors. It's crazy. I love actually marrying the occult, like which we were promised with Scott Derrickson, who done like Sinister and I think Lock and Key for Netflix or some shit. Oh shit, okay. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm tripping on that specific part, but there's not too many directors in the entire MCU that have this style. Kenneth Branagh. I invite you to look at that fucking catalog, even the shows. Like no one has style like Raimi. No. Raimi is a true OG, an old fucking G artist.
He is. He really is. I mean, aesthetically pleasing the movie was.
Everybody that works with them, like
it's beautiful.
Top of the line. They know what they know what they need to do. They know what they need to get done.
The camera work is great. The movie, the way it's presented.
The camera work, the tone, the actors. The script is kind of campy at points, but it's still fun considering like the arc that Wanda's been. Considering that Wanda is a murderer essentially. Yeah. Like there's a reason why she wasn't a goddamn hero in WandaVision. Yeah, it's because she's a fucking villain, dude. That's it. That's it. You want her to do hero shit, but that ship sailed for now. Yeah. She might come back. Again, I just look at the entire MCU in general. John Watts doesn't have the style. Like,
no, not at all.
No one has a visual style. Taika doesn't have a style like Johnston's probably the only one that arguably has a style. That's the dude from the first Cap. Because he did like Rocketeer and he did like that same time period.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like he loves that specific shit. It seems like some people work with better environments and some people are better or stronger writers than they are directors in terms of thinking with the camera, because like the movies, it's about what you can do with the camera. It's either
the camera work,
right. We got to move that shit. You got to make it fun. You got to keep it entertaining. You got to keep the eyes on something. And like some people do one takes. Some people do, you know, a series of like a Dutch shot or a zoom in or a smash zoom.
What did you say?
The POV with Rachel McAdams on the floor with Soul Snatcher, the whatever it's called. That was like, that shit was super cool. It was like her face was distorted, and I can appreciate the style of this movie just from this.
I love this movie. I love what it was able to do. Sam Raimi, to come into this franchise in the sequel is hard, and not only to come into the sequel where they're trying to be bigger and better and being one of those cornerstone movies that you'll have to watch by the time you get to Secret Wars. Like you might be able to skip some of these, but like it seems like some of them you might have to watch Loki. You might have to watch No Way Home. Yeah. You might have to watch Doctor Strange 2, you know? Yeah. You might have to even watch What If. Like, I don't know, but it's definitely, it's significant in what it does for the Phase 4. I think it's significant in what the director was able to do with the story he was given. And Waldron, like, it's a good story. It wasn't Infinity War. It wasn't just abundance of cameos or any of that bullshit. It's a lot more settled and focused on Strange and what he has to overcome. Yeah. But that's why I think it's the best of Phase 4. You know, is it the best multiverse movie? No, we literally watched everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah,
That's
a masterpiece. That shit was marvelous, brilliant, magnificent. Right. Everything positive you can say was that movie wrapped into a tightly beautiful knit burrito.
That's probably the best movie of the year that I've seen. You know, and Doctor Strange 2 is the best thing I've seen since Phase 4. And I hope Raimi comes back to do another one. I don't know if he comes back for Doctor Strange 3. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know if Doctor Strange 3 comes out before Secret Wars or whatever the fuck. But hey, man, I think he did a great job, and I'd love to see him kind of work with the same character and see what he can do with it. But it might just be a one-off. He might just go and do fucking Spider-Man 4, and hey, maybe it's for the best.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna come back. Like whether it be Doctor Strange or Spider-Man, we'll see. But I'm sure we'll see him again, you know?
Yeah, and, you know, I just love the use of music. He does the whole, little guitar, notes at the end. Too, when he opens up the third eye, it's just... again, it's fun. If people love the bit of metal that Ragnarok kind of has a similar kind of wickedness tied with the rock and roll, and it's much appreciated. It's such a fun movie with a great score, a great cast.
Definitely.
You know, and an interesting set of characters. You know, Wanda and Doctor Strange. Hey, say less, bro. Just one last thing to add. I didn't want to talk about Wanda, that sequence that I was telling you when the camera kind of jumps out of the staircase.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the fucking bow on that scene, too, is when she looks over and she breaks the fourth wall and she's just she looks directly in the camera. Cool. She didn't do no Deadpool shit where she said some snarky shit or anything.
She just looked and
looked and I was just like, oh, fuck. And
that was enough. That was literally enough.
That's what I'm telling you. This movie is a fucking treat. No, it didn't give us some of the things we were hoping for, or even what the leaks, the hype and the leaks kind of got ahead of this movie. And shame on Feige and everybody over there at Marvel for spoiling as much as they did on the trailers. Save the Illuminati shit for the movie. Don't give me that bullshit, dude. If it wasn't filled with cameos, save some of those fun surprises for the theater. It's not much to ask, especially someone who loves the shit, tries to avoid the leaks and spoilers as much as I can. I don't know. I think you can too.
Yeah, it was disappointing in that respect again. Meh.
That's my thoughts. I love this movie. I love what it did for Phase 4. I love the style that it brought